Hey guys, so I'm making this video today just as a positive adoption story for the two dogs that me and my partner Daniel have adopted this past year. So we started by getting our dog Leia back in 2022. It was about October. We had never shared a dog together, but we finally moved to a house with a big enough yard and decided that it was the perfect time. So we went to the local shelter. The local shelter was really struggling at the time that we went. So all they really wanted for our dog was a dog of bag food or a bag of dog food. That was kind of unfortunate. We actually brought them an extra few bags just because they were struggling so much at the facility. But Leia had actually been there at that shelter for a full year. Nobody had touched her, nobody had taken her, fostered her, nothing. And they had actually got her from a kill shelter. So she was supposed to be about 2.5 when we did take her home. But with that story, I'm really not sure. I think she was probably closer to 3.5 or 4. I really hope not. I hope that she was closer to 2.5 because I want to have her for as long as possible. But that's what we were told, and that is the one thing with adopting from a shelter is you're not exactly sure, of course, how old they are and their health. A lot of dogs from that shelter ended up having parvo and problems, but Leia did not. She had all of her vaccines and all of her records when we did get her, and still took her to the vet immediately after to make sure everything seemed cleared, get her on heartworm prevention medication, flea prevention medication, and so on. She was pretty, this is where the part of the story with how long she was in shelters doesn't really make sense either. Like at a kill shelter and then at this other shelter for a year, she seemed trained when we got her at 2.5. So, when we told her kennel, she went to her kennel. When we told her sit, she would sit. And when we told her come here, she would come here. She wasn't perfect on the leash. She'll pull some, but if you pull back and kind of try to tell her that you want her to stay close to you and you use your commands, she is very receptive. She wants you to be happy with her. So I believe that she is a terrier mix of some sort. I really don't see any Rottweiler or pit bull in her, but because of her coloring, some of that was thrown around as maybe mixed in with a terrier or a lab. So that's about it for her adoption story. Her medication obviously costs, her food obviously costs, but it's very low cost, especially with just getting her for basically free. So that's kind of the financial side there. Arlo, our other dog, when we got him, it was a little bit of a different story. So I don't even know how we started talking about wanting another dog. I think it's just because we wanted another animal for Leia to play with, which they do love to play together. And it's just amazing to see them play together all of the time. So, that was the intention. And I started looking at local shelters. I was thinking a smaller dog. Just honestly, I think I wanted to cuddle a smaller dog. I love cuddling with Leia, but holding a little baby, holding a little Arlo, holding a little Arlo is very different than holding a 60-pound dog. So that was the intention, and I looked for corgis and I looked for dachshunds online. That was just a smaller dog that I was interested in, but I literally found a dachshund corgi mix, which is him. So it was crazy. We went the next day to the shelter and I got him immediately. We brought Leia, so that's a big tip is, if you have another dog, a child in the home, like definitely bringing them to the shelter and checking it out first. With both of our dogs, we looked for, good temperament, obviously, getting in there with them, seeing how they acted, off or on a leash, off the leash, like just being with them. And the thing was, I would say Leia was like a lot better behaved when we first saw her at the shelter, whereas Arlo, he wasn't poorly behaved, but he was just like a socialite. He was just running around the shelter. All the dogs were actually loose. They do that on Saturdays at this shelter. They let all of the good dogs that don't have behavioral problems run around. And so he was just everywhere, all over the place, just no training. Like they were like, he's not going to do good on the leash. You're going to have to train him. And so when we brought him home, since he did really well with Leia, they did play together well. We fell in love with him. We took him home. It was a funny first day. I ended up crying and feeling not regretful, but scared. Because he came in the house and peed everywhere. So that's one thing, like if you're gonna get a male dog and you're gonna bring him in your house, don't be like me and just let him run around your house to see the space, maybe have a little bit more methodology behind it. He ran around and peed everywhere, and I was just like, oh my God, what did I just do bringing, this animal into the house when we had such a peaceful experience with our dog Leia before. We would leave her not by choice, not because we wanted to, but we could leave Leia for 6 to 8 hours just because she's a grown girl, and take her out, run her, let her go to the bathroom and everything like that. We could leave her for the day, and that would happen rarely. But with this new dog Arlo, I was like, wow, we just changed our lifestyle. Like, he's crazy, he's running around, he's not potty trained, things are different. Very quickly though, Daniel, thank God to him, like really, really, really worked on Arlo's training. He responded so well to treats. So like I said, we didn't have to do that much for Leia, but Arlo we did, and he responded so well to treats. He learned kennel. I will include, clips throughout this video kind of showing you some of their training, and he learned how to go to his kennel. He does every single time before he eats, because he was just attacking the food bowl before. The second you set it down, he's nipping at the food and, gonna eat your hand if you don't move it quick enough. So now he doesn't. And then the latest thing that he's improved on in his training has been walking. So he used to pull really, really bad, and there was nothing you could do in terms of really even food treats and stuff like that. No command, no amount of yanking. He wasn't gonna listen. Dachshunds can be very stubborn. But what we ended up doing was purchasing a collar. The collar will vibrate and make noise. It does have a shock setting, but that was not our intention when buying it. So believe it or not, he's really scared of the collar, even though we haven't shocked him with it. And when you put it on him, he just listens. He just watches you. He just respects you. And so at this point, we don't have to use it. And that was really only a few weeks of consistently having him wear it. It was actually kind of bad, because if he was wearing it off leash like he is right now outside, he would not go and explore the yard. He would just sit beside me and feel scared. So we've kind of removed it from his life, but knowing that it's still one of the only tools in our arsenal that did work when it came to training him. So maybe in the future again, if we need it, we can use it. He seems to really pay attention, so that helped him walk beside when he's on leash and not pull. He just looks up at me every so often now, and I can pull a little bit or tell him to come, and he will listen. So Yeah, that's really it, with our adoption story. It's a very positive one. It's gone so well with very, very little hiccups. And, obviously there can be problems from adopting animals. You can run into a lot of behavioral problems if you're not home enough, and if you're leaving them in the crate all the time, not giving them enough stimulation, leaving them out, and they can destroy your house or your things. We haven't had any of those problems, and I hope that in this video I've kind of explained why. It's the dog's temperament, and it's the training that we did put in early on. These are really good dogs, though, and I think maybe that's my main message, is just saying there's amazing dogs that are so grateful to get out of the shelter, and you should really look into that as a very viable option when thinking about adopting a dog or purchasing a dog in general. So yeah, I mean, it really makes me tear up when I think about Leia and Arlo both coming from the shelter. He was a stray, she being in a kill shelter. I look at them in my bed and holding them on my arms and kissing them, and I can't imagine, I can't imagine them still being there and that prison and that isolation. So, very positive story here for you, and I hope that it inspires you to adopt a dog from a shelter at some point in your life, an amazing companion that will forever be grateful for you.